The Chicago Bears went from 29th in net rest last season to number 1 in the entire NFL this year. Number 1. That number alone changes the season. But the actual story is bigger. Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles built 3 quiet advantages this offseason that nobody outside Hollis Hall is connecting. Most of these moves got buried under noise about the schedule. Watch what they did. They added a Super Bowl winning safety in Kobe Bryant. They drafted a 4 3/10 540 rookie safety. Nobody is mentioning yet. They signed Devin Bush to add speed at linebacker. They restructured one veteran contract in a way that signals exactly where they want to be in 2027. And Caleb Williams sits at the center of all of it. Coming off a franchise record 3,942 passing yard season, with Dan Graziano putting him in the MVP conversation and Field Yates picking him for All-Pro. There is a player on this roster you have not heard about yet, who changes the secondary plan in ways the league has not caught. The defense gets the speed boost Chicago needed. The offense returns a top 6 unit in total yardage with a quarterback ready for a third-year leap. The division landscape is shifting. The schedule hands the Bears a rest edge, bigger than any team in the NFL has seen since 1990. There's one rivalry game where Chicago built its deepest rest advantage of the year, and that game decides the division. Every piece stacks. Every piece compounds. The Bears went from a 5-win team 2 years ago to building one of the loudest competitive edges in the NFL. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bears and all the NFL content. Can we get 500 likes on this video? The rest math is brutal once you sit with it. The Chicago Bears finished last season at -4 in net rest, ranking 25th in the NFL. This year they sit at +15, the largest swing in the league. Warren Sharp confirmed it is the second largest net rest edge for any team since 1990. Only the 2024 Baltimore Ravens posted a bigger number with +16. 5 games on the Bears slate hand them a rest edge over their opponent. 4 of those 5 fall after the Week 10 bye. 0 games on the schedule come against a team flying in off their own bye. Compare that to the rest of the NFC North. The Minnesota Vikings sit 11th at +4.5. The Detroit Lions land at +1. The Green Bay Packers post a -2. Chicago built a 10.5-day rest gap over the next closest team in the division. Over an 18-week season, that gap compounds every Sunday. Even the negative games favor the Bears. The 2 rest deficit games on the schedule run at -1 day apiece. Both come at home. Both come against the New York Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the early stretch of the year before the team gets banged up. Historical data backs the playoff correlation. Teams with a +7 net rest edge or higher tend to convert at a high rate. The Bears blew past +7. They doubled it. That kind of edge cannot guarantee wins, but it absolutely can flip 3 or 4 close games in a season this tight at the top. The defense is where the conversation gets uncomfortable. The Chicago Bears finished 22nd in the NFL with 35 sacks last season. They tied for 22nd in pressure rate at 21.1%. The run defense allowed 5 yards per carry, the 3rd worst mark in the league. Montez Sweat led the team with 10 sacks. Austin Booker chipped in 4.5 sacks across 10 games after returning from a knee injury that wiped out a chunk of his year. The pieces around them need to climb. Dayo Odeyingbo is rehabbing a torn Achilles. He suffered on November 2nd. His 3-year, $48 million contract demands more than the 0 sack stretch he posted before the injury. Grady Jarrett finished with 1.5 sacks in 14 games on a 3-year, $42.75 million deal. He turns 33 this season. The Bears are hoping a clean offseason resets his trajectory. Gervon Dexter quietly added 6 sacks and stands as the most consistent interior rusher on the roster. Help arrived in pieces. Shamar Turner returns healthy after an early season injury cost him his rookie year stretch. Neville Gallimore signed for 2 years and $12 million as a rotational tackle. Jordan Vandenberg entered the building as the 7th-round defensive line pick out of Georgia Tech. Daniel Hardy got an extension to keep the speed element on the edge. The pass rush stays the biggest question on the roster, and the offense knows it, which means the offense has to score early, and score often. That puts the spotlight on a chess piece the Bears made in the draft that nobody is talking about, right? The Chicago Bears drafted Sam Ruch with the 69th overall pick out of Stanford. 6'6", 267 pounds, a second-team All-ACC selection. The headline at rookie minicamp came from beat reporter Adam Hogue, who said Roche looks like a Cole Kmet clone from his rookie year. The bloodline runs deep. His great-uncle Merlin Olsen is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His grandfather and another uncle both played in the NFL. Roche is a third-generation pro. The angle competitors missed is the major. Roush earned a computer science degree at Stanford, analytics, information processing, pattern recognition under pressure. He told reporters at minicamp, the analytical side of football is where coaches are finding edges across the league. That matches the Hollis Hall culture under Ben Johnson and new offensive coordinator Press Taylor, both heavy analytics adopters. Roush fits a tight end room that runs top 5 in the league in 12 and 13 personnel usage. Now look at the timing. The Bears restructured Cole Kmet before the draft, converting $7 6/65 million of his salary into a bonus and pushing his 2027 cap hit to $15 425 million. Cole Kmet stays for 2026. He stays as the veteran inside a 3 tight end attack with Colston Loveland and Ruch. But the restructure tells you exactly when the chess move triggers: 2027. Ryan Poles drafted the future and protected the present in the same offseason. That is the kind of two-move planning that wins divisions and builds windows. And it sets the stage for the quarterback who needs every weapon on the field this fall. Caleb Williams set the franchise passing yard record at 3,942 yards in his second season. He added 27 touchdown passes against 7 interceptions. He posted a 58 1/10% completion rate. Ben Johnson spent the entire offseason telling reporters his target for Caleb Williams is 70% completion. Mike Clay at ESPN projected 60% in his 2026 model, with 3,821 yards and 25 touchdowns. The gap between the projection and the target is where the entire offense lives. The weapon stack went from solid to stacked this offseason. Rome Odunze returns healthy after a foot injury cost him part of last season. Luther Burden finished his rookie year with 47 catches, 652 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He closed the season with 21 catches and 324 yards over his final 4 games. Colston Loveland, the rookie tight end, is a year deeper into the playbook. Khalif Raymond signed for 1 year and $5 1/10 million as the slot threat. Xavier Thomas entered the building with a 4 28/100 second 40 out of LSU. The national conversation is shifting fast. Dan Graziano named Caleb Williams in his early MVP picks. Field Yates picked him for All-Pro honors. Both pointed to the same factor. The chemistry Caleb Williams built with Burden and Loveland late last season is a year more advanced now. The offense returns the entire core except for the center swap. Drop the completion percentage gap from 12 points to 5 points, and the Bears score 40 more points across the season. That math is exactly how MVP campaigns get built, and it lands hardest in division games where every yard matters. The NFC North turns into the toughest division in football in 2026. The Detroit Lions still have the talent. The Green Bay Packers under Matt LaFleur brought back most of their core. The Minnesota Vikings kept their coaching staff intact. The Chicago Bears went 2-4 inside the division last year. That number is the single biggest issue on the resume. Win the division at 6-0 next season, and Chicago locks in a top 3 seed. Win at 4-2, and the Bears repeat as division champs. The schedule treats the Bears kindly inside the North. Christmas Day brings the Green Bay Packers to Soldier Field, and a Saturday Week 15 game gives the Bears an extra day of preparation heading into that primetime slot. Thanksgiving sends Chicago to Detroit for the short week, the toughest spot on the schedule. But the second meeting with the Detroit Lions comes in Week 17 at home with a plus 3-day rest edge. That is the kind of advantage Ben Johnson built his entire Detroit career exploiting. The rest math hands Chicago weapons against every division opponent. Plus 15 for the Bears, plus 4.5 for the Vikings, plus 1 for the Lions, minus 2 for the Packers. A 17-day rest gap exists between Chicago and Green Bay across the season. Ben Johnson went 2-0 against Matt LaFleur last year, including the wild-card win at 31-27. The film says he found the answers. The schedule says he gets time to find more answers. Now factor in the speed boost the Bears engineered on defense, because the secondary went from concern to the part of this team most likely to swing the division. The Chicago Bears used the 25th overall pick on Dylan Thieneman, the Oregon safety with a 4 3/10 5.40. He is the first Bears safety drafted in the first round since Mark Carrier in 1990. First team All-American at Oregon. Third team All-American as a freshman at Purdue. The Blazing 40 is the headline. The film is what hooked the front office. Thieneman reads quarterback eyes early and breaks on routes faster than most college safeties ever do. He gets paired with Kobe Bryant, who arrived on a 3-year, $40 million deal from the Seattle Seahawks. Bryant was a key piece of the defense that allowed the fewest points in the NFL last season and won Super Bowl 60 against the New England Patriots. He recorded 4 interceptions, 7 passes defensed, and a forced fumble in 15 games. Last year, opposing quarterbacks posted a 78.4 passer rating against him in coverage, the second lowest among all safeties. The Bears upgraded one starting spot with a Super Bowl champion and the other with a high-speed rookie. Cam Lewis signed for 2 years and $6 million from Buffalo as the depth piece who plays both safety spots and nickel. Dennis Allen spent the entire offseason saying the Bears needed more speed at every level of the defense. Now he has it. Plus 15 rest. Kobe Bryant at one safety. Bryant. Thieneman flying at the other. Devin Bush speeding up the linebacker level. The unit went from a coverage liability to a coverage asset in a single offseason. The pass rush stays the question, but a back end this fast covers up a slow front. The pieces line up. The schedule lines up. The quarterback lines up. The prediction writes itself. The Chicago Bears finish at 11 wins minimum and win the NFC North for the second straight year. Beat the Green Bay Packers twice. Split with the Detroit Lions, but win the home rematch in Week 17 with the plus 3 rest edge. Take the home game against the Minnesota Vikings. Behind the offensive line Joe Thuney anchors. The Bears finish 4-2 in the division and 10-4 against the rest of the schedule. 11 wins, possibly 12. The number Vegas posted at 9.5 feels low when you stack every advantage Ryan Poles built this offseason. Caleb Williams finishes top 5 in MVP voting. He climbs the completion percentage to 64%. He throws for 4,200 yards. He hits 30 touchdown passes against single-digit interceptions. Luther Burden breaks 1,000 receiving yards in his second season. Colston Loveland logs 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. Sam Roush carves out more snaps than anyone outside Hollis Hall expects, especially in 12 and 13 personnel sets. Dylan Thieneman earns Defensive Rookie of the Year. Consideration: Ben Johnson wins Coach of the Year. That is the call. Drop your prediction in the comments and tell me where you land on the win total before the next breakdown drops. Sound off if you think 11 is too aggressive or not aggressive enough. Hit the subscribe button on the way out so the next video lands in your feed when it goes live. The Caleb Williams MVP case film breakdown is the next one we are building, because the tape from the second half of last season tells a story national media has not caught yet. The Bears built a window. The window is wide open. Bear down.